everybody, welcome to the fifth and final lesson of the plein air module of the second year of Renaissance Academy. I'm excited to bring this lesson to you today because we are going to do a nocturne. And I have this beautiful location. It is a full moon. The sky is just this velvety blue, and there's this church over here with this glowing cupola up above. So I'm going to get set up and I'll show you how I set up for a nocturne painting. All right, we're going to jump in. Of course, is just to set up your tripod. So I'm not going to do very much talking right here as I get this set up. You'll see what I'm doing. Okay, so for the demo tonight, I'm going to use a larger canvas. It's an 11 by 14, and for those canvases, I do like to use a different plein air setup. The setup I'm using does involve the same tripod, but I have this different component that the tripod component's on the back, and then this is the top part of an easel made by James Coulter. It's from Artbox and Panel. I like this one because I can put a bigger canvas on it. The only problem, and the reason I don't use it in very many videos though, is because the mixing area is down below. To help me with that today so you can still see what I'm painting, I brought one of the palettes that we make and sell. So I'm going to be working on that today. The lower portion of the palette box, and it just opens up like this, and these little holders slide right onto the tripod. So I'm going to use this out here today because I can set things on it, and I like that. The older models of the smaller palette, anyway, so the newer ones of the smaller size don't have this bottom. That right there, and I will put the paint on it in just a minute. My brushes. And you may have a little better light on your setup, as you could put your light on here. For now, it is lighting me up so we can film. I have my cup of odorless mineral spirit. I have my paints that I used earlier today on my palette. I'm going to take them from off this lower palette and put it on here so that I can hold it up and show you what I'm painting. My titanium white, a little bit of cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, burnt sienna. I'll be using a lot of ultramarine blue, and I have another blue in my palette box that I'm going to be putting out as well. I'll be using much of the phthalo green. If I do, it'll just be to darken as well as the alizarin crimson. These colors, they just look black right now, but they'll look brighter when I have the light on them. I have manganese blue hue, and it's a really bright blue. I'm going to mix it with some of my ultramarine blue to get some more of that sapphire blue that I'm seeing up there. I have a larger canvas tonight. I don't know that I'm going to actually fill the entire canvas, and you don't have to. You can always just do a smaller portion of a larger canvas and then cut it down back in the studio. Okay, so that's a little higher than I like, so I'm going to lower all the legs of my tripod just a little bit. Now to move the light, and I'll show you how I get set up with that. So that just clamps right over my mixing area, easy as that. Okay, so I'm just going to jump in. I have my palette here, my little palette cup with a little bit of linseed oil in it. And like I said, I've already toned the canvas, and I'm going to jump in and draw in place my scene. It won't take long because I'm not going to take the time to fill in the whole canvas. I want the church in this area. You can see my palette. So I'll put this right here. I'm going to put the moon right about in that area, so maybe I'll move the church over here. And then I've got trees coming up in this area. I don't want this pile of trees to match that tree, so I'll make these a little bit higher and these a little bit smaller. And then put the church building in here. And then there's a subtle shade of green down here. Okay, so let's start out with isolating the main characters. I'm just going to put a suggestion of where the moon is going to go, and then some glow in place where that church is going to have its effect right here. If I squint down at that scene, those are some of the main colors that I see going on in my scene here. It's the quietest shade of green that's barely getting any light down here in the grass, down here below the church. It's all pretty much blackness elsewhere. Okay, so now to get the area of the sky, ultramarine blue, a lot of it. Let's get some of that violet blue in there, the manganese blue. And some ultramarine, or it's burnt sienna. Now from here, I'm going to work from the center of interest outwards. And so the center of interest is obviously the moon and the relationship with the church. And I'm kind of keeping a little bit of a width around the moon, not painted, because I'll come over through that with a little bit of a haze and let some of that glow. Now when you're looking right at the moon, everything seems really dark, but as soon as you look away from the moon, it takes on a little bit different color. So I'm looking at the color around these trees over here, and it sort of seems to light up a little bit because it's approaching something very black. Which is the silhouette of the tree. And same thing with this side of the church. You might be seeing a glare on my canvas here, but that's just the way it is. As I get further away from the moon, the sky is going to get darker and darker. So I'm mixing a little bit more alizarin in with the blue and the brown, just to let that get really dark over there. But it'll actually turn it a little bit violet, which is okay because I want the trees to be the darkest thing in the painting. Okay, So I'm going to just take a softer brush right now and just try to blend some of this. Now when I blend, I'm keeping the colors on my brush as I'm blending consistent with the family that I'm blending in. So this is all this lighter tone of blue. All right, now I'm obviously switching over to the darker passages of the sky. And I'm purposely altering my brush strokes this way and that way because of the glare. I'm trying to reduce the amount of glare that you see while I'm painting. Hope that that's effective. All right, now I'm going to get the moon before it escapes from me using a different brush, going right into that white and that little yellow ochre, a little burnt sienna. This is going to give me that glow. And remember, I didn't really put much on the canvas where that's going, so it's not mixing with that blue that's underneath. So now I'm blending just with what's right at the edges of that moon glow. Go right over the moon. I might even just take and let some of that go off into the sky. I see a very, very subtle hint of cloud in this passage here. So I'm just going to gently suggest that. All right, cleaning my brush off. Actually, I'm going to get a smaller brush and just go right into the white and the little yellow ochre. I don't want a really sharp edge around that moon. And I might even just take the slightest value shift in color to suggest some of that texture on the moon. little burnt sienna, yellow, cadmium yellow.
Moon's in an interesting spot right now with that band of clouds right across it.
Oh, yeah. Little bug. What would plein air be without a sacrificial bug?
Oh, I think it's the moon's going away too.
Mm-hmm. It'll be fine.
And, you know, you're talking about shifting light. You don't notice when the sun moves that much. You don't notice it because you never look at the sun. But in the course of doing that painting, that moon has totally changed positions.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I've got a mosquito I'll offer to the canvas here if I can get it.
Oh, okay. To add to the collection.
Uh-huh.
finish this up, and keeping to the theme of this warm lamp glow hitting the grass down here, I'm taking ultramarine blue and yellow ochre and just gently running this along. I'm not going to cover the whole canvas like I said before, but just to give that a sense of being lit by the building. Got a few bugs roaming around my painting, and that's kind of normal when you're plein painting at night and you've got your little studio light. You're going to draw a few bugs, but not that many. I'm just going to darken this in so that it has more of that sense of it being framed in. That just gives it a value. It's definitely not finished. But everything's low key, so the values that you do have to be very strong and poignant. They really need to make sure that they are painted very bright. Oil paint always dries a little bit darker too, so make sure that those really have enough impact.